to the Vanguard. If we were a little loud at first, that's because we're just so happy to be revolutionaries. We're so happy to serve the poor middle class colonized masses because only through their leadership will we free the entire planet. Ain't that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Laying back. I giggle loud. Sorry. But yes, my name is Chief OG. I represent the nations of Africa and Puerto Rican. I come from a working class with some petty contradictions, and I use he, him pronouns. And I'm the chief of agitation and propaganda, agitating and propagating, making sure our people understand what's going on in the revolution and what's going on with our people around the world. All right, who are our lovely other members here to introduce themselves?
Welcome back, everyone. My name is Minister Cantule. I represent the nations of Panama and Colombia, and I have a Paibu background in community class suicide, and I use they, them pronouns. I'm in the Minister of People's Affairs, where we make sure that people get what they need, whether it is training on how to prepare for natural events or any healthcare, advice, not recommendations. But yes, including masks, right? Like we've been giving out K95 masks since the start of the pandemic. And yes, we've been doing all kinds of different work here in the organization. So make sure to join so we can keep on serving our people. And back.
Welcome back, everybody. My name is Martha Kame. I represent the Coca and the Huirarica people of colonized Mexico. I come from the poor working class, and I use they, them pronouns, and I am the chief of staff for the Ministry of People's Affairs.
Laying back, everyone. Laying back. We're so glad to have you all. Big applause for our hammers. Because our hammers are working hard every day, overcoming all kinds of contradictions, overcoming all kinds of things to make sure that they're serving the people in any way that they can, in the best way that they can. And so I want to salute everybody. I want to salute Chief Otakame. I want to salute Minister Cantule for being two soldiers for the people and working as hard as they do. All right? And all to you hammers as well, who are out there serving the people every single day. You're doing amazing work, and you have to keep on doing it because our people deserve everything. All right? As well as you, another poor working class colonized person, you deserve everything too. Laying back. So, welcome everybody. We got Black Hammer TVs up in here. We got Teray. We got Chief Ide, who says, another great time to watch the Vanguard. Shout out Chicago Hammer. Shout out from Nigeria, Chief Ide. I and Lennox watching 107 a.m. Laying back, all of you first, struggling and staying up and watching and looking at political education. We love that. That's that real dedication, that cadre work. We appreciate it and we salute it. And laying back, Virgil too, welcome. Here to get that PE. Make sure everyone that you are sharing, liking, and subscribing. Share, like, and subscribe to our channel. Why should they share and like, and how should they do it?
Yes, by doing that, you're making sure that people, are actually getting the content that you so love very much, right? And you can do that by just hitting that good old like button underneath our beautiful faces. And you can also share to Facebook, share to Twitter, share it to any platform out there. And put them out that you are sharing as well, right? Like if it's, 10, 20, 30 times, let us know so that we also know, like, all right, good job, shout you out. And subscribe. Subscribing will also get you some notifications for when we go live. In case you had a busy day and you kind of forget, you can still tune in and actually know, like, when we're on and everything. So make sure that y'all are doing that. And also, we also know that these platforms and everything, they don't want us speaking the truth. So we gotta make sure that we're sharing so that people in these groups are getting the same political education that you are. So yes, man, back everybody, make sure that you are liking, sharing, and subscribing.
land back. And of course, something that you also should do is make sure that the revolution keeps on going, and you can help by donating. You can donate to make sure the revolution is funded. And if you just tune in and asking, why are we so quiet? Because this is ASMR colonial, anti-colonial news. And so we keeping it quiet. And sometimes people go through a really, really hard day. And maybe they just need a little bit of a calming voice because, the boss of the plantation was yelling at you because he fell asleep at that boring job. Or maybe you are just, taking a break because the kids, since you can't afford childcare, you gotta take care of all the kids and they're just a little bit loud. You want to wind down, So that's why we're doing this nice and quiet. But we want you to donate to the Chicago chapter, who's putting this out for you and is serving the people. We've been keeping people warm this winter, but today was kind of warm, and so we have to make sure that people are still, being sheltered out on the streets and are getting this prepared for when it gets warmer, right? Because you got to cool down as much as you got to warm up out here. And so donate to Black Hammer Shy on Cash App. And where else can they donate to on Venmo?
Our Venmo is Shy Hammers with an S at the end, and Shy, CHI.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So donate 5 for Shy. 5 for Shy, all right? Donate $5 to the Chicago chapter for our work, okay? And make sure that you can help us continue serving the people and getting them resources and organizing them into the revolution, right? Right? Put them in the comments. Who's donating today? Who got $5 for the Chicago chapter today? If you don't worry, I'll get them $5 from you later. Okay? You better bet on that. I'll catch up with you, don't worry. All right, y'all. Well, we have a lot of topics for you today. Make sure you are still liking, sharing, subscribing. Hey, Landback Kino, nice to see you up in here, getting this political education. All right, so make sure you all are liking, sharing, subscribing, and donating. But yeah, we're gonna get into these topics. Some of them are big, some of them are a little less serious, but some are serious. And so, as much as we're ASMR, we're anti-colonial revolutionaries. So we gotta give you that real news because that's what's happening with our people, right? So let's get into it. Can you give them some ASMR sounds while we pull up the news?
Yes, like Chief OG said, there's a lot of noise going on around the world. It kind of sounds like this. A lot of white noise.
This is on the white. Emphasis on the white.
Yes, emphasis on the white. The colony, that sure tends to, wear down on you, right? Especially if you are on that plantation. And it kind of sounds like this. The sound of your boss, what's Chris, what is that now?
Ooh.
Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown.
Where it's like,
Is that your boss? Yes, I bet. So yes, you come here to get some ASMR and also learn about what's going on around the world and get political education. So yes, make sure y'all are aware that this volume might be a little bit loud. I'm back.
Vladimir Putin this morning issuing a new warning for Americans about those rising prices. This is more than 330 multinational companies are now halting their operations in Russia. Our foreign correspondent James Longman has the latest from Moscow. Good morning, James.
Yeah, good morning, Cecilia. More fighting talk from President Putin. He's actually been speaking this morning about how confident he is that Russia can overcome sanctions. He's also said that Western countries have only themselves to blame for soaring food and energy prices. Now, remember, Russia's not only a major energy supplier, but it's also the world's largest exporter of wheat, and it's a top fertilizer exporter too. Many countries depend on their goods, and Moscow has long been able to use this against the West. I think it's come as some surprise to the Kremlin that for the moment, Western countries seem willing to sustain these costs as they support Ukraine. Putin has promised Russia will adapt, but without customers for its goods, not only will the economy here be in serious trouble, but supplying a conflict which could last months may start to become an issue. Putin's also warned Russia could seize the assets of firms who are leaving Russia and transfer them to others who are willing to work with the country. That would be a dramatic move, of course, but unlikely, I think, to generate the kind of income this country is now losing. 2 weeks in, over 330 multinational companies have paused operations here. The effects are already very visible. Take a look. This is the biggest mall in St. Petersburg. Stores shuttered as sanctions bite. McDonald's is due to close its stores Monday, and there have already been big lines at other Western outlets. People here rushing to make one last purchase. Cecilia?
Yeah, those impacts already being felt. But James, you've got some breaking news right now about Facebook.
Yeah, that's right. We've had a message from the Prosecutor General's office here, apparently requesting a court to declare Facebook an extremist organisation. Now, that would equate it to things like ISIS, and it means that a full blocking of this website. And if people do get round it and use VPNs to access it, they could be vulnerable to charges of extremism. It's an extraordinary escalation, and it just shows where Russia is right now. See it?
Another troubling development. Okay, James, thank you.
Russia's cutting all of those different corporations, all the ties to those corporations. Very interesting. Go ahead, Chico.
Yes. Yes. You see, Russia's cutting all ties to Instagram, Facebook, and you know what? It's in response to countries, United States specifically, taking things like McDonald's and Starbucks out of Russia. And I like it, what Stacy, there it is, says. Stacy said, like they really care. Like they think Russia really cares. Don't worry, Russia has enough beet soup and, you know, tons of kinds of Russian goodies. They don't need no McDonald's. They don't need no Starbucks. They'll be just fine. But apparently, you know, everyone thinks that that's what takes down the country, like Russia. There's no McDonald's, no Facebook, no none of these things. And we know it's a lot more than that. You know, we know that it takes a full-on propaganda campaign to at least get people to think that Russia should be done away with. And that's what the United States is doing right now. This full propaganda campaign. If McDonald's doesn't want to be there, then you should want to be there. If Starbucks doesn't want to be there, then you shouldn't want to be there, because what have they done to you in this country? They made you think your whole identity is McDonald's, Starbucks, all these places you spend all your money. That's who you are. So if you don't see those stuff there, then you don't see yourself there. And this helps you believe more and more that Russia's your enemy, when we know very well Russia ain't our enemy. It is not our enemy. Like Virgil said, Russians will be healthier now. I know. Can you ban McDonald's here? But can I see that in the comments? Ban McDonald's here in the U.S. Ban McDonald's everywhere, all around the world. Hashtag ban McDonald's. Just everywhere. Everyone want to ban Russia. I'm going to ban all these places and ban all these people that are causing the death of my people, causing them to be unhealthy, causing them to be, to die in the system. You know, let's ban all that if they're just on a banning streak. And yeah, no, it's up to us. It's up to revolutionaries to, you know, lay it out to our people who the real enemy is. And it's not Russia. It's the United States. It's the EU. It's NATO. It's all these places that are trying to create a bigger system of white power around the world. All right. So we ain't trying to worry about some ban McDonald's. We should just ban McDonald's everywhere instead. Laying back. What do you think, Minister? Come to me.
I think this is quite hilarious. You know, a lot of these corporations think that they got that much pull or hold, right, on the Russian people. And, you know, I don't know too much about the people of Russia, but one thing that, like, excuse me, one thing that I do believe is that they are, like, healthy people, right? Like, they don't care about these McDonald's or any other of these corporations, right? You know, that one line that they showed in that video was to a TGI Fridays. First of all, why is the TGI Fridays at a? I never would have thought that would be a, you know, in
a
Russia.
Russian mall.
Yeah, a Russian mall, but, you know, whatever. But yes, and you know, I think all this thing with Russia really reminds me of cancel culture. Like, in how like, oh, it's labeled as like bad, and then everything that has to do with that is also labeled as bad. For example, we saw like there's a few like buildings here in Chicago that say like they're old and like used as were previously used as and like etched into the building as like something Russian, like Russian bathhouse or Russian whatever, right? Yeah, I don't know if you want to explain further.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
You got it.
Oh yeah. So even though they have a whole nother business in it, that it's no longer a Russian house or nothing. They have a Ukraine like flag out front because they want to make sure that everybody knows. Okay, like it's not we made them know. Yeah, and it's like it's a whole thing, right? Like a lot of people are just following suit because that's all that they know is to be a what is that called? Like a
Parasite?
well, yes, a parasite if they're white, but yes, a sheep. Thank you. A sheep. That's all that they know how to do is just to keep on following with everybody else. And it's just a trend, right? And until this trend wears out, once this trend wears out, Russia will just be happy and have a whole other country under its ruling or whatever. So yeah, and it's not really doing anything materially. So my back.
Don't be a sheep. Why to call me what you thinking?
That was funny. No, I mean, companies like McDonald's and Starbucks, they're trying to do this to like hurt their economy, right? Because like with all the restaurants closing, like, whatever, like jobs are lost, and I was gonna say lobs. Jobs are lost, and like that's their way of trying to get back at Russia, right, or like hurt them in some way, which that might have worked. Pero I was reading this morning that based off of like trademarking laws in Russia, all of those companies had to like trademark their recipes and stuff like that. And so Russia is now working to like change that law, which gives them access to those recipes, which means that Russia themselves could make a Big Mac or make like all the Starbucks drinks, which I'm just like, so they already have the buildings, right? And so they just gotta like change the name or something, but the recipes are there. So if they really wanted that, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I was like reading up on the whatever. But that's funny because it's like you really tried, because it's like, oh, it has like 800 something like stores of McDonald's in Russia, which are now all just gonna, like, once that law is passed, it's just gonna be converted into a Russian McDonald's. Which exactly. So if anything, it's gonna create jobs. Like if anything, because they're gonna have to like rebuild and like all of this stuff, or just keep the people that are already there. Like it's all set up. So read the fine print. Because now McDonald's is gonna be losing out on those profits, and it's gonna go straight to like the Russian companies and stuff like that. Which we love that for Russia. So yeah, that was like one thing I was like, y'all, like, remember when here in the Snakes they tried to boycott McDonald's because they donated to like Trump's presidency campaign fund or whatever? It doesn't work. Like trying to boycott, trying to whatever, like that stuff doesn't work. That's all just like liberal, like it's just theatrics.
Yes. Right?
And even them pulling out in the first place is all theatrics, right? And they both, like Starbucks and McDonald's, came out with statements of like, the economic hurt is worth it if we're standing up for human rights or whatever. And it's like, oh, homegirl, you want to talk about human rights? Like McDonald's isn't like employing children. Like they don't overwork and underpay every single person. Like we all know people that work either for McDonald's or companies just like it, and none of them are like those happy people on their posters, which are all brown, but they're all colonized, right? Because they try to entice you, and it's just, they're jokes. Like they're really just even the bottom of the barrel colonial companies. Like they're just disgusting disgusting companies that just exploit our people like everything else that the colony has to offer. So salute to Russia for not only finding a way to get the people what they want, but also like it's like a one up against these companies, which is just, it's so funny. It's so funny to me. So, you know, shout out to Russia.
As Red said, blah, blah.
Well, Mac, yes, I told you that about the comment. Yeah, and I think, yeah, it's so true that, you know, Aqua Missouri said, turns out this was Putin's plan all along. Because how do you get the U.S. out of your country? Get liberals to want to ban those companies out of your country. So, you know, like those big names like McDonald's, you know, those were really powerful corporations. So all of a sudden they're gone. Apple's gone. Google's gone. You can't do Apple Pay. Can't do Google Pay. Snip all those cords. Snip the cord. And you get to be self-determined. And that's what we want for our people, especially here in the United States. We still have cords connected to us that make us get welfare, make us get food stamps, all those things. How do we get self-determined? We have to cut the cord. Hashtag cut the cord in the comments. All right? We have to cut the cord so that we no longer have to depend on our enemy to feed us. We can feed ourselves. Ooh, yes, land back. All right. Well, we're going to get to our next topic. And if you are watching, this one's a little bit, you know, this one's more serious than the last one. And it's a lot. So, you know, just listen. But we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. Lay back.
Homelessness turned into homicide.
Video is chilling to see a cold-blooded act of murder.
That from New York City Mayor Eric Adams after police say this man, captured on surveillance video, shot 2 homeless men in 2 separate incidents Saturday morning.
These are our brothers and sisters who have fell on hard times. We have an obligation to provide them with the services that they deserve.
Investigators say the shootings happened about an hour apart in Lower Manhattan while both men were sleeping. The first around 5 a.m. A 38-year-old man was shot in the arm while sleeping on the sidewalk on King Street between Varick Street and Avenue of the Americas. He's expected to survive. The other happened around 6 a.m. just blocks away on Lafayette Street. Police say the gunman opened fire on another homeless person who was in a sleeping bag, shooting him in the head and neck, killing him.
We are not going to rest until we find the individual responsible for this terrible act of taking the life of an innocent person merely as they slept on the streets.
But the Coalition for Homeless says that's not enough.
So it's imperative that the city expand access to low barrier shelter options and permanent affordable housing so that people can move in off the streets and have more safety and security.
According to the city's recent health and social services data, the number of homeless New Yorkers who died on the streets went up, 640 in 2021 compared to 613 in 2020.
We were heartbroken when we heard the news of these shootings, and my thoughts immediately went to all of the people that I know who are sleeping on the streets.
New Yorkers this Sunday on what's happening to the city's most vulnerable population.
And I think this is like a systematic issue of people just not caring about the homeless and sort of treating them like, you know, trash when they're in a very helpless position.
That sounds a lot. Right back. So, the video explained a lot, but one thing it didn't explain is that they think this person is the exact same person who also shot 3 homeless people in DC as well. They're actually thinking it's the same person, and in DC, 3 people were shot and 2 of them were killed. And they think it's the same person, and they have footage, you know, of the person that they suspect in DC. And that's got full face, and I'm not sure he might be Congolese. I don't know. Either way, it's a lot because, especially, this is hard to find words. The people on the streets They're the leaders. And so when you see someone like this doing this, they're taking our community as leaders. And that's probably going to get the highest kind of punishment, right? Because I can't remember we ain't gonna stand for something like that. Never. Never, never. And you shouldn't either, not out of some kind of pity or some kind of sympathy or some kind of non-profit liberal BS like that lady from Coalition for the Homeless who's like, just reminds me of people I know. You have to do it because that's your leadership. If you have ever defended your boss or your mom or your dad, because those are the leaders in your life, you better do the same for these people. And so it's a lot going on there. But Black Camera, we're serving our homeless people every single day. We're recruiting them and housing them so that they're not in a situation that's vulnerable like this. People are just trying to sleep, during a pandemic and all times too. And so what we're doing is we're serving our people so we can organize them and get them into the leadership that they not only deserve to be in, but they have to be in if we want any of us to be free. So yeah, then back Piccadilly.
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, I think this is pretty disgusting. Like Virgil said, they're cowards. How do you shoot anybody in their sleep, right? Let alone someone who's out on the street. And on top of that, I think it's also quite ironic that the NYPD is trying to say like, oh yes, like sympathize and like do all these things and say all these like liberal terms or whatever about finding this person. You know very well that they're not going to try very hard. You know very well that they aren't, because like them and even the petty people that have passed by all the homeless people that are on these streets view homeless people as vermin, as parasites. Like that's how they see it. They're like, oh, like ew, like, and that so it is a systematic issue. It's a systematic issue of people being raised or whatever, raised in the system where people are always taught that, right? Are taught to see like people like that. And that's what we're here to do as well, is also to politically educate people and let people know, like, these are people who are just trying to work. like most of the people that we've met here in Chicago, they have jobs. They're working. And they're still on these streets. And there's so many other people that are like that too. They're in a cycle of like, oh, okay, they got housing for a little bit and then they're back on the streets for a little bit. And it's a constant cycle. And people don't see themselves in the people who are on the streets. And that's the difference. Is like, that charity, whatever, colonizer in that video, or even the people at the end, they're viewing it as like a separate issue. Like, oh, here's a whole other issue, right? That we have to attack, right? And we're seeing it as, no, it's just, there's only one issue at hand, right? There's only one solution, and that is the Black Human Organization resolving this issue of colonialism, and actually getting to the root of the issues, getting people back their lives, their land, their labor, and their resources, so that they can actually have a say in what's going on. So yes, I'm back. In order to actually make sure that something like this doesn't happen again, in order to make sure that that people aren't living on the streets, we need to continue to build up this revolution, keep on building up our people, so that they know that they are the leadership as well, and giving that political education as well. I'm back. Almost said my own name. What the comment?
I'm back. Yeah, fucking.
Yeah, hold it all closer.
Okay. Was it Eric Adams?
Yeah.
Right? Ew. Out here talking like he literally couldn't solve this problem single-handedly. Right? It wouldn't be the root of the problem, right? Because like Minister Contola said, colonialism is at the root. But if he really wanted to, he could house every single homeless person in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Heck, in his own home even. But like that's the thing with these like charity stuff. It's like humans that are like our brothers and sisters who have fallen on hard times. Nah. It's like O just said, our leadership that you have placed in these situations. It doesn't matter if they work or not. It doesn't matter if they have a habit or not. They have been placed into these contradictions by the colony. It's not of our own doing. It's not of anything. It's predetermined that our people end up being the poorest of the poor. This is all by design. And also to treat this like this is a 1 in 100 case or whatever. Like, our people get murdered on the street every single day. Every single day. It's like, you know who does it the most? Your police force.
Mm-hmm.
You want to catch the people who kill homeless people? You employ them. They're right there.
He was a pig.
Exactly. He still is a pig.
Yeah.
Like, this, if it is the same man from DC or whatever, then okay, he has his own issues. But he's not the only one doing it. And it's not just happening in New York and DC. It happens in every single city. Because our people are seen as dispensable. Right? Like I saw something like this. Like this isn't something that you just hear about on the news. Like our people live this. Like the Black Hammer Party is on the ground. And I bet you everyone we've talked to has seen or even heard of someone they know.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like that they get murdered. Either by an outsider or by someone in their own community, right? Because horizontal violence is also designed into our people.
Mm-hmm.
Because of colonialism, right? Because of this, like, self-preservation, right? Like, our horizontal violence is not the fault of our own people. That comes from the colony, too. We didn't learn what that was until we had to literally, because of the colony, had to fight to eat. Had to fight to survive. That came from them. That doesn't come from our people. Right? Like, it is so disgusting. And it will stop.
Yes.
Through the same leadership of homeless people, through the Black Hammer Party, like, this will stop. And like these stories is just, again, it's nothing new. It's heartbreaking and infuriating and disgusting every single time, but that's the reality of our people.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's too much, then step aside. Support from the sidelines. But like, this is what we sign up for. Mm-hmm. These are the contradictions that we sign up to overturn by any means. By any means. So, rest in peace to all of the people, right? Not just the people from the video. But it will stop.
I'm back.
And it will stop, when our people learn to join the revolution. It's like what the company said, people are seeing every day happen. It's they offer something to be a part of, and that's the revolution. So join at blackhammer.org/join. That's how you learn to overturn all of these things. Land back. And so we are going to get to our next topic, and I want you to see just how different people's lives are. See what real problems are, because a lot of people don't know what real problems are. Not to say that you haven't been through something, but there's a difference sometimes. So let's get into it. Land back.
Requested to come to the microphone and say a few words.
I just wanted to say thank you. Yeah, I feel like I've cried enough on camera, but I just wanted to say yeah. To be honest, I've gotten heckled before, like it didn't really bother me, but it's like heckled here. Like I've watched a video of Venus and Serena getting heckled here, and if you've never watched it, you should watch it. And I don't know why, but like it went into my head and it got replayed a lot. I'm trying not to cry. But I just wanted to say thank you and congratulations. Yeah, just thank you.
And on behalf of everybody here, that out of about 10,000 people, one person's voice can't weigh out 9,999 others. And we love you here. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Naomi Osaka.
Land back. So, if you don't know, Naomi Osaka is a very famous college tennis player, Haitian and Japanese, plays for Japan. And she was at the Indian Wells tournament in California. And someone heckled her. And they don't say what it is, they just say heckled. I don't know what it is. So, she got heckled. And she was referencing a video of Venus and Serena Williams when they were about like 19 and 21. And they came to the same place and did a tournament in like the late 90s, I believe. And basically, the whole crowd booed them just as they came in. They just booed them. And they didn't do nothing. They weren't even playing it. And I guess it just turned out, it's probably just racism, you know, like, racism, we don't like black people, we don't like Africans, oh no, right? And of course, our people experience racism every day. People experience that all the time. But sometimes, and not sometimes, all the time, there's more happening. And so, you know, this is what happens when we get caught in like liberal hamster wheels. Like, we'll just keep crying over and over again about racist things that happen to us. And, you know, like, and of course we all grow up, you know, a lot of times, you know, experiencing those things and like crying about it. And it's not wrong to feel bad about that. But what is wrong is to let liberals and Democrats get you into a hamster wheel of only crying about it. And then also only crying about it and then continue to live like a petty blue life and making money and being comfortable, but the least comfortable thing that happens to you is someone like calling you the N-word. Like, you know, if that's like the least comfortable thing in your life, then your life's probably pretty solid still, you know. And because our people are getting called that, there's people, right, we have in our colonized community getting called that and then being beat up by the pigs, or being called that and then being shot in the face on the streets of New York City. So, you know, Naomi Osaka, you know, as long as understand you try to take care of your mental health and all that, we're beyond that. We are beyond that now. There's no more time for that. There's no more time for self-care. There's no more time for, oh, I mean, figure out how I'm gonna take care of myself this day. You could take care of yourself in the revolution. You gotta work and take care of yourself at the same time. It's just how it goes now. There's no other option because there's no time for anything else. And if that's uncomfortable for you, then you just put your own comfort, your own self-care above literally billions of people. And that says a lot about you. Mm-hmm. So, laying back, because you know what happens also, in other colonized nations and revolutions, where people put themselves above billions of other people, those people tend to get treated in a very special way, Yeah, so they tend to get treated a very special way. So, but Osaka, you just had to move past the petty blue depression and get on serving your people. I know you were trying to wear the mask and say remember Breonna Taylor, all that. Come on, let's keep keep pushing and do something, or else you're just another person, crying about racism. And that Black Hammer, we're done with that. So, laying back.
I'll tell this person the same thing that I told somebody else today. Boo hoo. I'm so sorry. Yo, come on. I'm so, this is ridiculous. I mean, first of all, you're playing tennis. That is probably the most I don't know, rich, white, all of the above, games out there right now, sports out there. You go into that and you want to cry. I'm sorry, but you want to earn the money that literally yes, exactly, Virgil. But yeah, and that's what you're saying too, with this hamster wheel thing, right? People want to cry about it, and they're gonna keep crying, and they're gonna keep doing the same, playing the same notes and doing the same thing that got them to crying in the first place. So what are you doing? What are you doing to actually make a change? You wanna actually try to help? Maybe you should quit tennis, give up all your money, go actually help people, give up all your money to an organization like us, or to the people out on the street, because people need that, the amount of people that we've met that get ignored on a regular basis, and we get ignored too on a regular basis, that are just literally trying to get some food, they're literally just trying to get some hand warming, they're just trying to get by, and you want to cry about someone calling you some kind of name? Please, yes, there is no excuse, especially after hearing the news from around New York, right? When people are always struggling, and crying about one little thing, that is not, and apparently she cries a lot, so it's not anything new. It's not anything new for these liberals either. So, and all these sellouts as well. They think that they're rich, and they think that they have finally made it, and they can get away from all that. That's what a lot of these sellouts think. And they're getting checked. They're getting checked. That's what it is. They're realizing that they aren't safe. They're realizing that they aren't as equal, right? Which honestly, it's a good thing. It's a good thing, because maybe that will check them into not being that same person anymore. Sorry, y'all. I'm getting a little excited. So my voice tends to go up in both octaves and in volume. But yes, y'all. So make sure that y'all are sharing this so that other people can see that their daily struggle, the struggles or whatever that these liberals keep on trying to shove down our throats. Oh yes, this is so bad. Ain't nothing compared to the struggles that our people go through, and that we are trying to overturn. What are you trying to actually do? Playing tennis, nothing. Just entertain a bunch of white people. White old people at that. Why would you want to entertain them? So yes, I'm back. Go ahead, what about me?
I'm back. I hope this one and every petty boo sellout gets ridiculed, bullied, spat on every single day forever. That's it. I mean, I really don't care. Like, I hope they suffer every single day. I hope they hate themselves. I hope that they cry every time they wake up. And I hope that every second of their day is miserable. Because they allow our people. It's not like they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they don't know homelessness exists. It's not like they don't know that colonized people suffer. So F you and F your mental health. I hope it goes to hell. And I hope other things that I can't say about it. Like, I don't care. I hope you cry every day. I hope you hate yourself to the deepest level for what you allow and for the path that you've chosen. Right? Like, I don't care about you. You are insignificant and invaluable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sellouts mean nothing to me. You want to commit class suicide and struggle? All right, cool. Then maybe I'll learn your name. Like, I don't care. Like, your life is not hard. Your life is not freaking hard. Like, these people wouldn't survive. Not even homelessness, y'all. Like, they wouldn't even like survive working a restaurant job. Like, they couldn't do it.
Nope.
They couldn't do house cleaning. They couldn't do construction. They couldn't, like, they're weak and disgusting. And they chose. Right? Again, it's not like they don't know. So I don't care. I really don't. Like, you cry about it. I hope you get called worse things. You chose your life. And, like, if that doesn't show that, like, even as a rich sports person or whatever, that you're still they don't care about you. They don't. You're just a puppet, a jester. Just like our colonized ancestors were forced to entertain white people, the masters back then, you chose that. Because you thought that would be easier than standing united with your people. Well, guess what? Your people don't want you either. So now you're all alone and sad and crying. So, like, okay. Anyway, that's all. Bye-bye.
Yeah, you know, and yeah, it kind of sounds like tears. I don't know, maybe not.
Frozen tears.
Frozen tears. Because of how cold you are. No. Yeah, no. Yes, agreed. Can you just say that first? Agreed. Agreed. And yeah, I remember her boyfriend, her boo, Poor Day, that rapper that no one knows about.
No.
He was on the exactly. He was on that Obama Netflix like voting movie that they made right before the election. He was like one of the things, like one of the parts. I'm like, really?
I see that.
4th of July, y'all.
Yes, all the firecrackers.
We're just prepared for the 4th of July. Lay it back. All right. Lay it back. All right, we can get to our next topic. This one is something else too. So, let's get into it. Lay it back.
That 5 spring breakers who overdosed last night at an Airbnb in Florida are West Point cadets. The U.S. military. 2 are members of the football team. Authorities say cocaine laced with fentanyl caused 7 people in all to overdose. 2 are in critical condition. Investigators say they were not all using the drugs. Fentanyl is so potent that people who administered CPR also fell ill.
Laying back. So, if you don't know, West Point is a military school. The military, it's like Harvard, like the Harvard of military schools, I guess, like the best of the best. I was told by what the comment. I think right. It was you who told me that like you have to like most of those people are like family of people, right? Like it's mostly like people who like nepotism and legacy and all that stuff. And so like this is an exclusive place, exclusive. Like you can't get in. But apparently they can get in. So like these West Point students who are mostly white, I think they celebrate when there's colonized people there and whatnot, but it's mostly white people. Apparently they went on spring break in Florida. They went to Florida, and they haven't said what it was. They just said it was laced with fentanyl, but they said
they said it was cool.
Oh, they did? Okay, because I could remember it just said white powder substance, like they weren't trying to say what it was. Okay, there you go. And so it was laced with fentanyl, which is extremely dangerous, right? And so all 7 of them ended up in the hospital, and I think 2 of them in critical condition. And they're not really saying much about it. Like West Point is saying, "Oh, like, we'll tell you more later. We'll tell you more later. We'll tell you more later." But for the colonial media, why it's a big deal is not because of what it's representing that's happening to poor Black colonized people. It's that it's West Point, and that people who are fancy like that should never happen to them. And so that's why colonial media cares. But we care because it's just representative of a larger pandemic that's happening to poor Black colonized people around the world, really, but especially in the United States, right? Of getting exposed to fentanyl unknowingly when they're buying, and it's causing a lot of our people to OD, and it's happened to my family in that same way, and it's happened to tons of colonized people, but they're not using the story to talk about that or care about that, overturn it, because it's making somebody money. The government, I'm thinking it's making the CIA and the FBI a lot of money right now. But they ain't saying that. But go ahead, Mr. Couture.
I am back. I think this is kind of funny. Don't lie. I think it's funny because I don't know, they got one of their own, like it's definitely like the lacing of this stuff is definitely coming from them, the system. I think it's a good way to see, where people are using the most. If they get sick, if they find, if they get sick from using things that are laced with fentanyl, then, they have to go to a hospital, right? So it's an easy way to see where it's really hot. And that way they can, continue to put our people in jail. I think it's absolutely disgusting that the system continues to use our people as cannon fodder, and have this war on drugs or whatever. That they are the ones that are supplying. They're the ones that are doing it, right? They know what they're doing. I think it's funny that all these people are having a fit about it, because it's this whatever, high end military school or whatever. But I think it's funny that they don't think that a high end place would have something like that. I'm sorry, but yeah, they definitely would. But yeah, people, whatever, they continue to murder our people one way or another. And this is, funny that they got their own. So yeah, I'm back. Go ahead, what's funny?
I'm upset they survived. To get out there.
All of them.
Which is really surprising, huh?
Mm-hmm. Weird.
Yeah, I'm upset they survived, because y'all laid out, fentanyl has been in our communities for years, and colonized people have been screaming about it for years, right? And it really only makes sense that it comes from the feds too, because again, I've talked about this with comrades and stuff, but dealers don't benefit from fentanyl overdoses, and people who use are not dumb. People who use are not trying, they're trying to escape the world, right? People addiction addiction is something that comes from the beginning of colonialism, right? Like straight from the cocoa leaves and like the aguardientes and like all of this, like to escape the brutality of colonialism. That's where addiction started, right? And that has continued. That's a pattern that has continued throughout those 500 years, right? It's not because we want to die. So people who use drugs are smart about the way they do it, right? Like, and you wouldn't buy from a dealer sells laced stuff, and that dealer, if it was a pattern, would not survive, and the dealer doesn't lose from like their supply dying, or doesn't win from their supply dying, right? So who benefits from the death of colonized people? The vets, right? And like, I'm upset that they survived, because so many of our people, good people, don't every day, and these literal future war criminals get to survive. Ew. No, their lives are not worth. Their combined lives are not worth the life of one of ours. They're not. They're not. But like, you know, and now everyone's like, where's fentanyl coming from? Where's fentanyl coming from? Y'all are blaming this China again. I was reading this article that was saying that, well, they're blaming Mexico too, because you know Mexico is where all the drugs are sold and made or wherever. They're saying that Mexico buys chemicals from China to then manufacture fentanyl in Mexico that then gets trafficked to the U.S. And
It's such a bad.
y'all, it's so dumb. Like, y'all don't even try anymore. Like, it's the same bad guys, right? Like, for this propaganda. It's like the war on drugs is ridiculous. Because it's like, where did it start, though? Who actually introduced the drugs into our communities? The FBI. That's not even conspiracy theory. That's a proven fact. They admitted it. Like, you know, and like with this, they're bringing up like the opioid epidemic, right? Which is really funny because even everyone actually blames Bill Clinton. Because in 1995 he passed a law making opioids legal for pain relief use or whatever, and that's where it all started, because he made it legal without implementing restrictions, without implementing like even studies or anything, right? To make it like a slow burn. It was just like, yeah, have this highly addictive substance, and hence the opioid epidemic started, right? But yeah, like fentanyl, it doesn't come from our people. It doesn't come from our nations. It doesn't come from China. It comes from the same people that have been trying to kill us since day one, the colony, the U.S. government. Like, who else has to benefit again? Like I said, like, they got their own this time. That's why they're alive. Because they weren't intended targets. But like we've said, who's actually the bigger addicts? Like, if we want to go that route, colonized people or the rich white ones? Who uses the most drugs? I'll ask you one question: who can afford them?
Who can afford the planes?
Who pays for the planes? Like, who can afford however much coke that was? Who can afford that? Not us. So I hope next time they don't survive.
Man back. My eyes say all. Man back. All right. Well, we have to get into our last topic, y'all. Our last topic. Now, y'all may have heard of the Jussie Smollet story. Maybe you hadn't. It's been a long 2 years of blah blah blah. Ain't nothing special, but this moment is going wild because it's causing people to get a little confused because they can't tell we're not supportive because of what just got said. So we're gonna watch his sentencing. That was here down in Chicago just a couple of days ago. Man back.
Has become an adverb for lying. And I cannot imagine what could be worse than that. I'm trying to consider who you are as a person, how you got here, how somehow you strayed away from your family values, you let that dark, narcissistic, selfish, and arrogant side come out, and you persisted with it for years on this case. I'm fashioning the following sentence, and here's your sentence. I'm sentencing you to 30 months felony probation, and the probation is going to be to this court. You're going to be allowed to travel wherever you want. You do not have to live in the state of Illinois. You can report by phone. I know that if you're going to try to make a living and do some of the things you do, you may have to go to other places, New York and Los Angeles. You can do those things. You will pay restitution to the city of Chicago in the amount of $120,106. You are fined $25,000, which is the maximum fine, and you will spend the first 150 days of your sentence in the Cook County Jail, and that will start today, right here, right now.
No, I would just like to say to Your Honor that I am not suicidal. That's what I would like to say.
Okay.
I am not suicidal.
Okay.
I am not suicidal. I am innocent, and I am not suicidal. If I did this, then it means that I stuck my fist in the fears of Black Americans in this country for over 400 years and the fears of the LGBTQ community. Your Honor, I respect you and I respect the jury, but I did not do this. And I am not suicidal. And if anything happens to me when I go in there, I did not do it to myself. And you must all know that. I respect you, Your Honor. I respect your decision. Jail time, I am not suicidal.
Okay. Mr. Uche, let me inquire, are there any post-sentencing motions you care to present? Court is adjourned.
I am not suicidal. I am not suicidal. And I am innocent. I could have said that I was guilty a long time ago.
Jesus Christ. Not like the real just comment. They could have killed Jussie. So, goodness gracious, y'all. Alright. So, Jussie Smollet. Jussie Smollet was an actor. He was in Empire, right? Which was a huge show for a lot of college people. So, they know him. And then he got extra known because while he was on Empire, he came out as gay, which, you know, for college people tends to be a bigger deal than when white people do it. So people are like, what? And you know, he's been in gay movies, goodness gracious, whatever. So Jussie Smollett was on trial because he apparently, according to, you know, the court and the story and all that, he faked a hate crime. So the story was that he was walking around like 2 a.m. in downtown Chicago on the subway, to a 24-hour subway. And along the way, 2 white men approached him and attacked him and even had a noose and wrapped a noose around his neck and beat him up. And so he like reported it, and like, you know, they had all the images of him like super injured, like he was like super like beat up, like actually beat up. And so apparently the story that got put out there after that was that, oh, it actually never happened, and that he hired these 2 other African men to beat him up and pretend that it happened as like a publicity stunt. Now, I don't know. I don't know what happened. It's a really weird thing to discuss whether or not it happened or not, because why, right? Because that stuff happens to poor working class college people all the time. I mean, lynchings are higher than ever, right? So, whatever. It is still kind of fishy, because usually famous actors aren't walking out at 3 a.m. to go get Subway on their own, but maybe they can. I don't know. But yes, Jussie, this method acting thing has gone too far, because that's what it felt like. He felt like he was acting, like reading a script there, you know, like, I respect you, blah blah blah, I'm innocent. It's a whole act. That's what it was. That's what it felt like. But yeah, he's now sentenced to 150 days at Cook County Jail. And Cook County Jail ain't a place you, especially if you're famous, famous and Jussie Smollet. You don't want to be in Cook County Jail. And so it actually turns out he's right now in the psych ward. Which this could have been a whole planned thing just to get him into the psych ward. You know, his lawyer's like, okay, they say guilty, just start yelling about some stuff. And you know, but what they want to do is convert this into a whole movement. So his sister, who's also an actress, Jussie Smollet, who's more famous than down here, she put out a free hashtag free Jussie. So did Taraji P. Henson, like free Jussie. And like they're doing this whole campaign about like how African men are in prison unfairly a lot of the times. So that they're turning this all into like this, fight the system campaign. Which is fun because it all started from him faking hate crime. I don't know. It's wild. It's wild and so irrelevant, but they keep dragging it on because, especially in the city of Chicago, which is where it happened, right? They want to say he wasted taxpayer money, and conservatives turned it into a whole campaign against the county attorney, who's an African woman in Ken Fox, which is another sellout, right? But it's wild, y'all. And apparently he's about to go to jail 5 months, so we'll see though, because he's right now in the psych ward. I don't think this is gonna pick up any steam of any like big campaign, because no one cares. And most Congress people, from what I can tell, they think he lied. So we'll see. But yeah, continue.
Yes, I agree with Virgil. You know, I feel like it was just all planned out. And it's just all like one long, you know, yeah, this is one long thing. It doesn't really make much sense, for him to even, like, for one way or another, right? Like, yeah, I don't know. It just seems like a whole lot of, like, bull stuff. And, you know, our people continue to like face like hate crimes on a regular basis, and nothing ever happens. So I think it's also funny that he, like, you know, if he did, you know, allegedly choose this as a method acting thing, why not? Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even want to go down that route because it's just disgusting. But you know, our people struggle. Our people continue to struggle with, you know, and all kinds of different hate from the system, whether it's from the pigs, whether it's from, you know, even in healthcare, right? Like when people go in to just get like their infected eyes treated or their infected whatever treated, like they continue to struggle with that, and not get the proper care that they need. So, you know, the system is broken. If he really wants to actually change anything, he needs to commit class suicide. And I really doubt that he's gonna do that, because he seems like real deep in there. But
he's literally been rich his whole life. His family's been acting since they were babies.
Then yeah, yeah, bye. But yeah, y'all, like, yeah, I mean, whatever. I hope that his stay in the jail goes splendidly for everybody else. Yeah. Go ahead,
Okay. Do you think they'll hire Kim Kardashian?
She passed the bar?
Yeah.
She passed?
But it's like, y'all want to start a campaign for like unfairly imprisoned African men, and you choose this? You choose this one?
The shame.
The shame. The shame, y'all. The fuck? So I couldn't. I couldn't censor that one.
No.
Just say fuck instead.
So many words I can't say. But like this one, some like Virgil.
Yeah, there you go.
Some like class B or C or I don't know how you rank them, but class not A celebrity fakes a hate crime, and that's what y'all choose to like put your whole campaign on. Really, there are hundreds of thousands of unfairly imprisoned African men that have, like, literally there's proof that they shouldn't be in jail and they're still in jail. And this is the one you choose? That's embarrassing. Like, ew, your class is showing. You know, like, it's really just because it's your family. It's not because you give a shit about African men. It's not because you care about that. It's because he's your little brother. Or whatever. Or whatever, your brother. He strikes me as a younger sibling.
Yeah.
Yeah. No offense.
I'm a younger sibling, I can call that one.
But, like, that's so embarrassing and so, like, dishonest. Like, to really, just because you're upset that your brother got caught up, like, you're gonna, like, those are not small things to promise, or, like, a campaign about unfairly imprisoned men, like African men, especially in the United States. That's so embarrassing. Like, you should be ashamed of yourself. Same thing as with the first person. I hope you hate yourself. I really do. He obviously does. I hope you hate yourself too. Like, I have no, like, that's disgusting. And petty boos really just be like this, huh? Like, that's the thing. I'm just like, y'all just are so gross and so caught up in your own little made up world, because it's made up. That's not the real world, bro. That's not the real world. That's why, like, that's why point number 4 is so important, because these petty boos, or petty boo people who don't know the realities of the world, can't lead us anywhere except for to jail on some, like, fake, poorly planned out plan. Like, that's so embarrassing. Like, you should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed. I hope he gets out of the psych ward. And I hope he gets to meet the people who really don't deserve to be in jail. Because exactly, he's gonna learn about the real world real quick. Like, oh God, I'm already annoyed with everything that's gonna come out once he gets out of jail. I'm already annoyed.
Got 5 months.
And I'm already over it. Like, I don't care. Bro, like, that's embarrassing. I hope you hate yourself forever. Again, that's like the motto of today. I'm back.
That's the model for them petty boosts that allow us, and you know, for our enemies and for our people. The model is join the revolution, right? Join the revolution. Join Black Hammer at blackhammer.org/join, so that you can create a world for yourself. You know, a real world. The world that they create for themselves is one where only they are satisfied. They get to eat, they get to be comfortable, and that's fine. No, the world we're creating is one where no one lives at the expense of another. And so that's the world we can want to create, and materially we can create it. It will be real. It will be real. And that's the hammer. That's the hammer coming down, if you heard that. That's the hammer coming down on all our enemies so that we can create that world. Land back. We should get a hammer for our ASMR sounds. Land back. It'd be kind of loud, but maybe we can rub it or something. No, maybe not. All right, land back, everyone. Let's make sure again you donate 5 for Shy to our Cash App, Black Hammer Shy, or Venmo Shy Hammers. You know, to help us get resources for the people for winter, for spring, for summer. We making sure people have shelter. We making sure people have everything that they need so that they can be healthy and survive enough to be the leadership that we know they are. So donate $5 to the Chicago chapter at the very least. 5 for Shy. And put them donations in the comments. I see y'all in there that donate. Land back. And then for our other announcements, make sure you're watching the Revolutionary Church every Sunday live at Black Hammer Facebook page, alright? And you can watch it every week as well, uploaded onto YouTube, youtube.com/BlackHammerTV, where you're watching it right now. So if you ain't subscribed, subscribe now, alright? Because our hammers in Atlanta are doing the thing. Salute and applause for them. And then drop the charges on our hammers now. drop them charges on our hammers. Call 404-658-6618 extension 5 to make sure that our hammers get them charges dropped on them. They were just serving the people, feeding the people, and the pigs ain't like that. The enemies ain't like that. The ambassadors ain't like that. And because they're being exposed for the petty blue sellouts, they're being exposed for the snitches, they are. That's what's happening. And so they attacked our Atlanta hammers, and we have to make sure that those charges get dropped now. So call. All right? Well, land back, everyone. It's been wonderful having you for the Vanguard today. A lot of big topics, but real life is real life. And we're going to expose what's real and expose what's fake at every single turn here at the Vanguard. Because that's what the Vanguard is here to do, is to politically educate you as to your material reality. All right? And so, join the revolution and keep up with the Vanguard and politically educate yourself. So, land back. Land back, y'all. And guess what? We will see you next week.